Welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Siblings. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is my co-host, Armando.
Hi guys, I'm Armando, and welcome to Wrestling with Siblings.
Let's get into the last pay-per-view of the year, TLC, live from San Jose, California.
So far, one of the best pay-per-views they had. They closed the year on a very high standard. I thought it was a great pay-per-view.
I have to 100% agree with that. They closed off the year in a fantastic way.
If I were to rate this pay-per-view, I'll probably give it an 8, just because there was a couple matches that really didn't get to our expectation, but we'll get into detail a little bit later.
And I have to agree with that. I also have to give it an 8. If it wasn't for certain matches, it probably would have been a solid 10. All right, let's move on to the very first match of the night, which was the Mixed Match Challenge Finals. R-Truth and Carmella versus Jinder Mahal and Alicia. R-Truth and Carmella, I feel, were the fan favorites. I feel like them being paired together was brilliant. I feel like it's helped out Carmella more than R-Truth. I feel like she's more confident and she's like a new reinvented Carmella.
It also helped R-Truth more, just because he's getting more appearances on TV than what he had before, and now he's actually got a storyline to go with, and he proved it in the Mixed Match Challenge.
Exactly.
And partnering them together was a brilliant idea. I think they're not meant for each other, but you could tell that they get along very well, and that's very, very crucial, and they have fun out there. Not only them, but we do too.
That is chemistry, and that is something that a lot of teams lack, especially when you put them together for the very first time, and that's something that Carmella and Truth had since the very beginning.
And the most important thing is they're entertaining. They always have something new, whether it's performing in the ring or whether it's in their mic skills.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that. And let's get into Jinder Mahal and Alicia. Again, two of the most underrated superstars, I guess, including R-Truth and Carmella. But I feel like Alicia is the one that's usually underappreciated. She's hardly ever used. And now I feel like the Mixed Match Challenge opened their eyes to what Alicia can really do.
Not only with Alicia, but with Jinder Mahal too. We saw more of Jinder Mahal than in this Mixed Match Challenge than we saw of him
over the last couple of months.
Throughout the year, pretty much.
I mean, this year he was WWE champion when he was over in SmackDown.
Mainly in Raw.
I feel like in the last couple of months, basically. And Alicia is one of those people that is very determined. She's super talented, but she never ever gets the time. She never gets the opportunity, and that's something the Mixed Match Challenge really helped. I feel like they put the big talent with some of the talent that wasn't as big, and now they've elevated them to a point where they will all do really, really well on their own. And since Truth and Carmella were the ones that won the Mixed Match Challenge, they do get an all-expense paid trip vacation to anywhere in the world that they wanted, and R-Truth picked the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Carmella wasn't thrilled about it, but I gotta admit, that place is really, really cool. So I would like to tour it, and now R-Truth was like, he wants to tour it, so he's gonna take us along with him.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I expected them to go somewhere else in the world, not necessarily the WWE headquarters.
And due to the fact that they are the winners of the Mixed Match Challenge, they will be number 30 for the respective Royal Rumbles, which means we can expect R-Truth to be number 30 for the Men's Rumble and Carmella to be number 30 for the Women's Rumble.
Again, a huge opportunity for them to go and win the Royal Rumble, and not only that, be the number one contender for both the men's
and the women's championships of their choice, and for the possibility of headlining WrestleMania.
Think about it. What if R-Truth were to headline WrestleMania?
Now, the thing is, if R-Truth were to headline WrestleMania, who is he facing? The Beast or Daniel Bryan?
Yeah. It's just something out there that,
It's a possibility, right? He's number 30.
He's number 30. Same thing with Carmella. Carmella has already been champion.
Being number 30 automatically gives you an 100% advantage to anybody else that has been in the Rumble. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next month. But now let's move on to the second match of the night, which was the New Day versus The Bar versus the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. One of the matches that we knew for a fact was not going to disappoint. One of the main factors in this match was that the Usos weren't part of the match for like 90% of the time.
Yeah, both teams did a very good job on isolating the Usos, and I felt that was crucial for the Bar to retain, because they knew that was the biggest threat throughout the entire match.
And like you said in our last podcast, you said that the Usos know how to survive, they know how to win, and I feel like they caught on to, hey, if we keep the Usos out of this match, we have a better possibility of retaining, and they kept it at the New Day versus the Bar for the majority of the match.
Yeah, and the outcome was that the Bar ended up winning, and I thought it was a smart strategy. Not only from the Bar, but from the New Day as well.
And the Bar has been a lot more physical. They've been a lot more brutal with all of their opponents the last couple of weeks. And I feel like that comes from a threat of them being scared. Not necessarily scared, but knowing that the New Day and the Usos really are a threat to their tag team championships.
Yeah, definitely. But in my opinion, I thought that this was one of the matches that stole the show.
And we know that they're always that group that always delivers. Whether it's in the Usos versus the New Day or the New Day versus the Bar, it doesn't matter. This is one of the trios that always deliver. All right, let's move on to one of the most anticipated matches of the night. And I say anticipated because it had you thinking, is Braun Strowman going to show up or is he not going to show up? So let's get into Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman and basically the rest of the locker room in a TLC match, which means no countouts, no disqualifications, anything goes.
So pretty much Braun Strowman outsmarted Baron Corbin, because Baron Corbin thought that Braun Strowman wasn't going to show up since it was a TLC match and there was a no disqualification. Braun Strowman decides to come out, but he doesn't come out alone. He brings backup, and pretty much everybody that Baron Corbin screwed over for the past couple of weeks came out and helped him out.
Like Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, Apollo Crews, and Heath Slater obviously turning last minute on Baron Corbin. Now that he actually had a backup, he was like, you know what? I am going to take their side. And it was brilliant because there was a time when Heath Slater was pretending to fix the turnbuckle and pretending like nothing was going on in the ring. And there was also the return of the former Raw general manager,
Kurt Angle, which he got his revenge on Baron Corbin.
Exactly, he did. And that means that since Baron Corbin lost this match, he is no longer the general manager of Raw, and that automatically puts Braun Strowman in line for the Universal Championship.
Against Brock Lesnar, which is going to be very, very interesting to see. I know I do not want to miss that match. And another thing, too, I didn't expect Braun Strowman to come out.
I kind of expected it just because of the way that the way that Baron Corbin was acting, and there was no way they were going to let him, just take full control of the actual show, the main show. There was no way they were going to let that happen. So I expected something to happen. I just didn't expect it to be this exactly. But there was a twist, and this is what it was. But given the fact that Baron Corbin is no longer the Raw general manager, where does this put him, Armando?
I don't know. I mean, he's been doing a great job as far as coming out on TV and working with this persona.
With his new and reinvented character.
Yeah. And hopefully this doesn't affect him and it doesn't go back to where he doesn't get the opportunity and doesn't come out like he was coming out on TV.
Exactly, because I feel like him getting the Constable Corbin position actually elevated his career both inside the ring and in the microphone.
Yeah, it developed him more, gave him the mic skills, it gave him... We already know he had the in-ring skills, but mainly the mic skills, which he needed to work on, and he pretty much matured on this.
And Braun Strowman, we know he's gotten the opportunity at the Universal Championship. He just hasn't been able to win it yet. Is this possibly the last time he's going to get a chance? And is this the time that he's finally going to win the Universal Championship?
I don't believe it's his last time. But I do hope that he does win. I think he deserves it, and he's already at that state where he needs to be the champion.
I completely agree with that. It's just going to be interesting to see where his arm is at that point, and if he is going to be 100% to compete against somebody like the Beast.
And if that's going to be a huge factor on that match, because if he's not 100%, then he's not going to win the championship again. We know he's had a lot of opportunities, and it really hasn't worked out for him. Hopefully, this plays out perfect for him, but hopefully he's 100%. So he has a better chance of winning the championship.
100% agree with that. Let's move on to the next match of the night, which was Natalya versus Ruby Riott in a tables match.
I was surprised with Natty all around. I never doubted her talent. It's just that, me personally, I thought that the Riott Squad and the numbers game was going to play a huge factor in this match. And they did get involved, but Natty was able to overcome it.
She did a fantastic job keeping Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan away from this match. She put both of them through the table. And another thing that shows you that the Riott Squad is a family is the fact that Ruby Riott was about to go through a table. Liv pushed her out of the way and took the hit for Ruby Riott. Therefore, she was the first one to be taken out of the equation, making it a 2-on-1, pretty much.
Yeah, and she pretty much went into the locker room area and didn't come out for the rest of the match, which was good for Natty because it was one less person that she had to worry about.
And I feel like Natty was prepared. She knew that if she didn't get rid of Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, her chances were going to decrease just because, as you said, the numbers game. And I feel like Ruby Riott really did a fantastic job against Natalya. I feel like she gave her a fight. Even though Natalya did end up being victorious, she did a lot for Ruby Riott. She put her over, and it became one of those things where you look at Ruby Riott and you're like, she is definitely going to be successful. She is definitely at some point going to be one of the top stars in the women's division.
Yeah, and not only that, but Natty played one of the Riott Squad's cards, and she played the mental game with them too. She took out a table that had a picture of Ruby Riott, and that kind of threw her off a little bit too.
Yeah, that definitely was something that Ruby Riott was not expecting at this point. It was a one-on-one match because she had already gotten rid of Sarah Logan. But overall, fantastic match. I was into the match. Again, all the time that Natalya performs, never disappoints. She always has a 5-star match, and I feel like putting her up against the newer and fresher talent really does something different.
Yeah. I'd give her props that she did a very good job of studying her opponents, and I think that was very, very crucial. And again, that's where the experience played off. If it would have been somebody else, they would have been all cut up in that numbers game, and Natty didn't do that.
And a pretty cool moment of the night was when she pulls out her dad's jacket and, finishes off the match and grabs the glasses and puts them on. It's pretty much like a pun intended towards Ruby Riott. All right, let's move on to Drew McIntyre versus Finn Balor. I think this match was okay. I feel like it could have been better. It didn't really exceed my expectations, and that is my personal opinion. I feel like it could have been 100% better because of the talent that you had in somebody in Drew McIntyre and Finn Balor.
Especially with Finn Balor, I still think that he hasn't reached his full potential in the Raw roster.
Exactly, and I feel like them having Drew McIntyre dominate the majority of the match really played a huge factor. Not because he's not good, but because having somebody like Finn is such a benefit to the roster, and he can bring so much more, and he can showcase all his talent given that opportunity. I feel like it would have been a lot, something better, just because it would have been like a high-flying experience and all that stuff.
And then Drew McIntyre is just impressive week after week after week. It's just, he's the full package.
And he is one of those that knows how to use his power to his advantage. He has learned super, super well how to manipulate people's speed and use it towards his power. Because now, every time I see him, it's like, okay, he knows he's strong now, And Armando, you did mention something about the Claymore kick.
Yeah, he just connects it super quick and at a short distance. It's kind of like when Randy Orton does the RKO out of nowhere. It's kind of like that with McIntyre. If you actually look at some of his matches, he's like super close to his opponent, and out of nowhere he'll just connect the
Claymore kick.
Claymore kick.
And a huge factor in this match was Dolph Ziggler interfering. Therefore, Finn Balor was able to pick up the victory.
I mean, and for a guy his size, I'm talking about McIntyre. In order for him to connect a Claymore kick at that short distance is just impressive.
Exactly. 100% agree with that. Now it's going to be super interesting to see where they decide to go with Finn Balor and Dolph Ziggler moving forward. All right, let's get into the chairs match of the night, which was Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. Personally, I like this match. I think it lived up to the expectation. We had pretty much two veterans in Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. They both knew what they were doing. They've both been in this type of match before. I think it was fantastic.
Definitely, it lived up to the expectation, to the hype. The build-up was awesome, especially with this new Randy Orton that we've seen throughout the past couple of months.
And I do have to mention something. Rey Mysterio dominated the majority of this match. He knew that if he gave Randy Orton any opportunities, his chances of winning were going to decrease. And that's exactly what he did. He stopped Randy Orton in every opportunity that he was going to get. And therefore, that strategy worked for Rey Mysterio because he took home the win.
Yeah, they didn't give no offensive to Randy Orton and didn't let him connect the RKO, which is very, very important.
Yeah, because we all know that once Randy Orton hits that RKO, it's pretty much over.
And also, Rey Mysterio demonstrating a lot of creativity in the ring using the chairs.
100% agree with that. And Randy Orton is one of those that he wants to cause you physical pain. And I feel like he tried to do that to Rey Mysterio, and he did at certain points. But Rey Mysterio definitely studied him and made sure that he was going to come out victorious at the end of the show. And we did see, for those of you that didn't know, that Randy Orton's wife was at ringside, in case you guys wanted to know that. Just throwing it out there. Pretty much, they were wasting a lot of time. I did notice that as well. I feel like Randy especially was wasting time getting to Rey Mysterio, and I feel like that played a huge factor in him not being able to put away Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, because you give Rey Mysterio the opportunity to recover, get his thoughts together, and able to capitalize.
Exactly. And we do know that the quickness was what was able to help Rey Mysterio in picking up the win against the legend killer, the Viper, Randy Orton. All right, let's move on to the Raw Women's Championship. Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship.
Yeah, very, very interesting match, especially because the previous match that they had was interrupted by Alexa Bliss. This time, there was no interruptions.
And this was another one of those matches that was going to face power versus speed. Why Ronda Rousey? She's a powerhouse, basically. No, she's the one with the speed. Nia Jax is a powerhouse. Sorry about that. And it was one of those things where Nia Jax was super confident, and she went into this match thinking she was going to come out the Raw Women's Champion.
And then not only that, but you also see Ronda. We said that she's a submission specialist. And throughout the match, she kept on finding new ways to get Nia Jax in a submission move.
Exactly. But we were also... What I also noticed from this match was that Nia Jax did the majority of the work by herself. Tamina didn't really interfere in this match, other than once I think she caused a distraction. But other than that, she didn't interfere. That shows something about Nia Jax.
And not only that, Ronda did not get distracted and did not put a lot of attention to Tamina. And we had discussed this before in other podcasts, that Ronda tends to get distracted by whoever's on ringside. And that has not cost her matches, but it was one of her weaknesses. And she's working on that as time keeps going.
And we do have to admit, she is probably one of the best wrestlers at the moment. She has improved so much since her debut at WrestleMania, and we got to give her props for that, man. She has really really got uncomfortable inside of the ring.
And Ronda Rousey was able to connect
The armbar.
And, I mean, if you really go back and look at the footage, it looks like she just tore it apart, snapped it. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully Nia's okay.
It looked pretty ugly to me because it did look like she just snapped it in half, was about to break it.
She just used full force on it, so.
And I gotta give something to Nia Jax. The Samoan drop that she did on Ronda Rousey, I seriously thought she had her. I was like, that's it. It's over. But Ronda was able to pull through. And again, she did hit the armbar. Therefore, retain the Raw Women's Championship at TLC. Alright, let's move on to the next match of the night, which was AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship.
Again, it's one of those matches where on paper it's, bam, supposed to be big, you know, but I felt that both their superstars kind of held back. It didn't lead up to the expectation everybody wanted.
I think the match was good, but I do feel like it could have been better. With the amount of talent that you had in that match, somebody like AJ Styles, whose matches are always 100%. They are always 5-star. No matter who you put him up against, the man is going to deliver. And Daniel Bryan, we know that whenever he wrestles, you're bound to get a good show. Just because of his wrestling style, and I do feel like they did help each other back in this match.
Yeah, just a little, but like I said, I felt it could have been better.
And I do feel like the ending of this match was kind of just like, okay, Daniel Bryan retained. I wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe AJ Styles had a possibility, but moving forward, I mean, it makes sense that Daniel Bryan ended up winning this match. And I see him being champion for quite some time, for a few more months at least.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I do see him as champion for
quite
a few
some
months.
Time. All right, let's move on to Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Again, this was another one that had a killer feud. You looked at it and you were like, wow, I cannot wait to see this match. This is going to be probably the best match of the night. And no. We were there. We saw it live. The people weren't into it. People were chanting, this is boring. It wasn't something that lived up to their expectations, at least. I know for a fact that I feel like this match could have been way better.
Yeah, I mean, it had all the components to be the match of the night, and not only that, but probably the match of the year. And but like you said, we felt that they kind of held back, and it wasn't what we expected.
And we do feel like Seth Rollins isn't Seth Rollins. We do feel like something is wrong with Seth Rollins. We don't know if it's because Dean has gotten into his head that much, if it's because Roman is gone, or if he's simply, injured. Again, these are just speculations.
Yeah, or it could possibly be that just all these matches he's had throughout the year are just starting to catch up to him, and he's finally feeling the effects of it. It's just probably just tiredness of all the matches he's had. I mean, he does give it 110%, 150% every single match.
And he did a fantastic job putting over Dean Ambrose, and Dean has been looking 100% better coming back from his injury. I feel like him being away from the WWE really did something to his career.
But also, Dean Ambrose controlled most of the match and didn't let Seth Rollins build any offensive. And I felt that was crucial to
this match?
To the match.
Well,
he didn't let Seth Rollins be the high flyer that he is.
He didn't let Seth Rollins be the Seth that he is, but I also feel like that comes from him knowing Seth Rollins super, super well. I mean, if you really think about it, they were part of the Shield for years, right? And now you're putting him up against somebody that used to be his brother. He obviously knows him. He knows his weaknesses. He knows his strengths, and he obviously studied him and used that to his advantage, and therefore became the new Intercontinental Champion at TLC.
Yep.
And let's get into the best match of the night, the main event. Becky Lynch versus Asuka versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
All I gotta say is the woman stole the show. By far, this was the best match of the night, and it lived up to the expectation.
Actually,
all around.
I don't think it lived up to the expectation. I think it exceeded everybody's expectations, especially the amount of talent that you had in this match. Obviously, you knew this match was going to be good. Just because Becky was in it, Charlotte was in it, and Asuka was in it, but I didn't think the match was going to be this good. They killed it. They stole the show.
Everything was awesome since the feud started all the way to the end of the match.
Exactly.
It was just amazing. I mean, the reaction of the crowd and being there and being able to witness it was awesome. It was amazing. And I mean, it just proves to you that the women's division keeps growing day by day. And I mean, main eventing a pay-per-view and making history like this, just amazing.
And it also shows you that given the opportunity, the women are going to hold the brass ring and run with it. They will deliver, and you know that when it comes to a match like this, they're never going to disappoint, ever.
And I mean, you saw the women go through tables. They were jumping off the ladders, putting each other through hell pretty much to win that title.
And they were doing everything in their power, and we did get to see Charlotte at some point get frustrated. We saw her. She couldn't beat Becky. She couldn't beat Asuka, and it got to that point where she was like, I have had it, and she snapped again.
Yeah, and I feel that that's going to come back and haunt her, and we've seen it against Ronda, and we saw it again at TLC.
And we saw that against Becky Lynch, of course. And Asuka, by far, and I don't want to say she was the star of this match, but I feel like she was able to hang with two of the top stars in the women's division, if not in the WWE.
I feel that the WWE universe was behind Asuka, but Becky and Charlotte kind of underestimated her a little bit.
Yeah.
They try to focus the attention on them two, and they kind of forgot about Asuka. And again, Asuka proved why she's champion, why she deserved to be there.
Exactly, and I do feel that ever since she lost to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 34, people just didn't take her seriously anymore because she wasn't undefeated anymore. She wasn't that woman that everybody was to be scared of, especially since Charlotte was the woman to beat her. But I do feel like she showcased herself really, really well in this match.
And I feel that loss against Charlotte made her grow even more.
As a character and all of that, she prepared herself and she was ready for two of the biggest wrestlers in the WWE.
And I feel that really just helped her out in her career.
And Becky, man, she is on fire right now. She is killing it. She is doing everything that she should be doing, everything that everybody in the roster, both male and female, should be doing.
Yeah, she's pretty much the perfect heel.
As of right now, yes, she is. And, I mean, there really is not much we can say about this match. It was killer. They stole the show. It was exactly what everybody wanted. The expectations were exceeded for sure. And we did crown a new SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka. But she only won the championship because Ronda Rousey got her revenge on Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, because it got to the point where Charlotte and Becky were on the ladder and they were about to reach for the championship, and Ronda comes out and just tipped them over, and Asuka was able to
capitalize and retrieve the women's championship.
And Asuka took a really cool spear, but I say bad because she was speared pretty much through the barricade by Charlotte, and that is killer, man.
It was definitely an awesome match. But yeah, I mean, Ronda interfered in the match. She said she wanted to get her hands on them, and she pretty much did, and cost them a very, very important match.
Exactly. Well, that's all we have for you guys on this episode of Wrestling with Siblings. For those of you that don't know, we are doing this on a weekly basis. Become a sibling today. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And for those of you that do not know what WWS stands for, Armando, what does WWS stand for?
Wrestling with Siblings. Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you guys on next week's episode of Wrestling with Siblings.